Hello and welcome. My name is Jasmin, and on this channel, we are talking all about reclaiming your power, finding your purpose, and unfolding all of your potential while living your most pleasurable, beautiful, and fulfilling life. And so today, I want to talk to you about turning pain into power, one of the most incredible things you can learn in your life. This tool is truly one of the tools that changed my life the most since I integrated it into my daily practice, into my life, since it became a part of me, that awareness became a part of me. And that is because in this reality that we live in this duality on this earth, we cannot avoid pain. It's just not possible. We are living in a dual world, and there will be pain in our lives eventually. It can be smaller pains, it can be bigger pains, but there will be some pain we'll have to deal with. This is a normal part of this life that we are living in this world, and it can never be avoided. But learning to turn this pain into fuel, into a power source that takes you further in your life instead of letting it keep you from moving ahead on your path, instead of letting it stop you from doing what you're meant to do in this world and living your best life, instead of letting it be the sign that it's not working, you use it and you turn it into fuel and into a sign that it is working and that you can make great things even out of ashes. When we learn to do that, we really truly change our lives. Like nothing can bring us down, because even the worst things, even the worst pains we have to deal with, they become fuel. They take us where we need to go. They help us move forward. That is a skill that makes you unfreaking stoppable. And so today I want to talk to you about how you can develop that skill and how you can learn to turn your pain into power. So the first thing we got to be aware of is that when we want to turn pain into power, we got to understand how the principle of creation works. So the principle of creation says what you focus on grows. So what you put your attention to is what grows, because energy comes first. If we put a lot of energy into something, we're going to grow it. We're going to create it. So for example, if you have a certain kind of thought and you focus a lot on that thought, for example, you have the thought of a negative thought, a suffering thought, that things always go wrong for you, and you focus a lot on that. And you find proof for that everywhere because you focus a lot on that thought, you're going to grow that. You're going to create experiences in your life where you are going to see that belief to be proven right, that thought to become more and more of a reality. But let's say you have the opposite belief, that things always work out for you. That's something to focus on, and you will notice that will become true more and more and more in your life. When you always see how things are working out for you instead of how they're not working out for you, and you're always looking for proof for that thought to be true, more and more things are going to work out for you easier and easier, because that's how it works. What we focus on grows. And that's a principle that we can utilize in the process of turning our pain into power. For that, it is essential to understand that what we're focusing on grows not just in the conscious mind, but also in the subconscious. So we want to become very aware of our thoughts, because a lot of the thoughts that are going through our mind throughout the day, we're not even aware of. They're unconscious. So what we want to do is we want to become more conscious of our thoughts. We want to check in a bit more. And when something happens that is painful or challenging for us, we then want to become especially aware of our thoughts, of what we're thinking, and check in with our minds and see, okay, what are the thoughts that I'm having as this is going on? What is going on in my mind? Where am I going with my mind? Where am I going with my thoughts as this is going on in my life? What do I believe to be true about the situation, about what this situation means for me? What am I seeing this as proof for? Do I see this as proof for everything all bad things happen to me? Or do I see it as proof for I am being given a challenge because the universe knows that I can grow even bigger? And I'm going to take it and I'm going to turn this into something great in my life. So we want to become aware of our thoughts. We want to focus on making the subconscious, the unconscious, conscious, so that we can learn to navigate our thoughts in the right direction, and we can learn to put our focus in the direction of what we want to grow, which is good things, happy moments, pleasure, joy, happiness. So that is the first thing we want to focus on when we are wanting to learn to turn pain into power, when we want to utilize that tool. And the next thing is we want to be fully aware that we can redefine the meaning of pain. So we can have the idea that pain equals suffering, and that equals, obviously, we are not good enough. So that's actually, you might not be aware of that, but when you go into depths, and I've seen that with many, many people in my life, with many, many clients, when we go into the depth of why we suffer so bad from pain, it's always because underneath we have the belief that if we're experiencing pain and if we're suffering, it means we're not good enough. We're not lovable, we're not worthy, we're not good enough. So that's always the belief we carry under if we carry underneath if we equalize pain or is suffering as suffering. So what we want to do is we want to shift that belief. We want to see pain as a natural opposite of pleasure. We want to see that there is just this natural duality in our world and accept that. Just like there's night and day, there's the sun and the moon, there's light and dark, there's pain and there's pleasure. It's just two ends of the same spectrum. And it doesn't mean, if we're experiencing one or the other, it doesn't mean we're better or we're worse. It just means currently you're at that end of the spectrum. But you're also having the ability to move along that spectrum according to your free will, because that's the highest law of the universe. You have free will. And you don't have to stay in any spectrum. You are not dependent on external forces to define what you are experiencing. Your free will is the greatest law in the universe, the first law of the universe, and you choose what you experience. So you don't need to say that when I'm on one end of the spectrum, like the pain end, it means I'm not good enough, and when I'm on the pleasure end, it means I'm good enough. You can just cut that cord, cut that connection, say, this is just the natural thing of life. There's a spectrum of pain and pleasure, and all humans experience several aspects of this spectrum, and sometimes are on one end and sometimes are on the other end, but it's completely separated from my worth, from my good enoughness, from my enoughness. So that's the first thing we got to become aware of, because as long as we equalize pain with suffering and the meaning that we're not good enough, suffering always comes from the meaning of I'm not good enough, from the deep underlying belief of I'm not good enough. As long as we equalize that, we will not be able to utilize the pain, because we're going to immediately go into suffering, go into victim consciousness, see ourselves as not good enough, and then believe I can't do anything about it. I'm not good enough. Obviously, I'm not good enough because I'm experiencing this pain. This must mean I can't do it, I can't have it, so I can't do anything. We kind of paralyze ourselves when we do that. So that's the first thing we got to do. And instead, we can also put a different belief. We can see that pain always comes to us as a guide, as a teacher, as a way, as a portal of growth, as a portal of learning, of gaining wisdom. And that can be sometimes really, really hard, because there can be really extreme pains that we experience, horrific pains. For example, when we experience the loss of a loved one, or when you experience severe abuse, this is horrific pains. And it can be very hard to find the wisdom in that, to find the gift in that, to find the gold in the pain there. And I can totally relate to that. I have been through horrific experiences myself in my life. And it took me a very long time, honestly, to find the gifts. And there are some where I'm still struggling. But what happens when we change the attitude around pain is we are looking for the gifts. We are trying to find the gifts. We know subconsciously that there is a gift to be found. There is a wisdom. There is a learning. There is this piece of growth to be found. There is something for us in this pain and not against us. Because when we're in suffering, we believe that the pain is against us. Us experiencing the pain means life is against us. It means that we are not worthy. But when we shift that belief, that even in the worst of pains where we might not be able to see the gift yet, might not be able to grasp consciously and logically what it is that is good for us from that experience, we are at least having the awareness there is something in this for me. There is a gift in this. This is one of the worst things I ever experienced, but this carries, just like any other pain, a gift for me. There is something for me in this. There is gold in this for me. And we look for it. We try to see it, and we might not be able to. It might take us years. It might take us 10, 20, 50 years until we're actually able to see it and find it. But the meaning of the pain has changed. Even if we can't find the gift yet, the pain is no longer something that defines our unworthiness, but it is something that actually helps us grow, even if we have not found the wisdom in it yet. So already there, we are taking our power back, because we are making the pain mean that we are on track, that we have power, that we are given tools, that we are given gifts, and even when we can't see them, that they are there. They're there. The gold and the pain is there, even when I can't see it, even when I can't feel it. And that's really where we start to turn our pain into power. And then, of course, we can also go into just shifting the whole principle of beliefs that we hold around the concept of experiencing pain or pleasure. So we talked about this a bit in the beginning when I explained to you, like, when someone sees it as the world is against me, they grow this experience. And when someone sees it, has the belief everything is for me, that is what they're going to grow and experience. So what we want to do to turn our pain into pleasure is not into pleasure, into power. I'm sorry, I lost track. But you can also turn pain into pleasure. It's crazy, but if you're really working with the alchemical deep works, that's very deep work. And it's very intense work, but you can literally turn pain into pleasure. I don't know if you ever experienced that, but I'm getting fully off track here, but obviously it wants to flow. That something happened, or you had one of those days and you had one of those breakdown moments and you needed to cry, like really cry. And like you were crying and everything was coming out and you were experiencing this grief or anger and all those emotions, what we would consider negative emotions. And as you were letting yourself cry and having all those emotions, eventually, as you stopped crying, you felt so much better and you actually felt really good. You felt better than before you were crying and you felt actually really good. And then somehow your day turned around and you actually felt really good for the rest of the day. And you felt really, I for example, experience that very often when I have a lot of grief that I move through. I feel so heart open afterwards. I feel this pleasure of my heart being open and so much love flowing through me, because grief is actually just the other side of love. So when we allow the grief to flow through us, we allow the love to flow through us. So this is actually high alchemical work that we can do, because every emotion we experience is actually just energy on a certain frequency. And so if we allow it to flow naturally, it's gonna change in its frequency when we do not judge it, but we meet it with love and with acceptance, and we let it flow through us. For example, when we let ourselves have a good cry, then we raise its frequency. We change its alchemical structure, and it's gonna rise on the spectrum into the other, what we call the positive frequency. And then we, for example, turn our grief into love, and we turn our pain into pleasure. So this is very high alchemical wisdom. So maybe you're aware of that. Maybe you have been hearing of that. Just a little sidetrack here because it wanted to come through, and we let the energy flow because that's the best for everyone. But back on track, what I actually was talking about was turning our pain into power. So for that, we want to shift our core belief of what we believe the world sees in us, or how we relate to the world. So check in with yourself. Do you have a tendency that when things happen to you, when things happen in your life, something bad happens in your life, something painful happens in your life, do you have the tendency to have that belief of the world's against me and everything is against me, that's why that happens to me? Observe yourself, because if you do, that's something that stands in the way of you being able to change, to turn your pain into power, and to change that trajectory of your life. What we want to have as a base belief is that the world is for us. Everything is for us, and everything is there to help us. The world loves us. The world wants to help us. If that is our core belief, then we're going to, first of all, create more of that experience. And second of all, when something bad happens to us or something painful happens in our lives, we are going to focus on how that must be for us too. Because, yeah, it's painful, but the world is for me. So that must be for me in some way too, even if I can't see it yet. And that gives us our power back. Because then we choose the meaning, and we choose the meaning that we are great and the world loves us, and this brings something good. So instead of having that meaning of that we would have if we believe that the world's against us, means pain brings bad things, we change it from pain is uncomfortable, yeah, but it brings something good. There is something good in the pain. You see where this is leading? It gives you your power back. It makes you strong. It makes you write your own story, because then you decide. You decide what to do with that pain. You decide what it means. You decide. And that makes all the difference. So, with that being said, it is normal that we experience pain. Don't forget that. It's not about never experiencing pain anymore. It's not about being comfortable in the pain or being okay with experiencing pain, in the sense of like you have to enjoy the pain. That's not at all what this is about. This is about learning and understanding that the pain is also a way to move forward, is also something good. And allowing yourself to feel the pain and healthily process it, even if it happens for a few moments that you go into victim consciousness and that you go into suffering, it's okay. But what we want to change is what we're going to do next. What's our new default strategy on how to deal with the pain? Can we let ourselves feel the pain and feel the discomfort? Because it's not about being always comfortable and always comfortable with the pain. You won't always be comfortable with experiencing pain. You can learn to handle pain better, yeah, in a healthy way. We're not talking about unhealthy ways. We're talking about healthy ways. But it will never be fully comfortable. But can you learn to be okay with the discomfort, knowing that it brings you something good? It helps you grow. It helps you expand. Growth isn't comfortable. If you think about when children are growing and when they're growing fast, they often complain about growing pains. Their bones hurt because they're growing. Growth isn't comfortable. But there is something great on the other side. So learning to process our pain, to allow ourselves to feel it in a healthy way means we're giving it a different meaning. We're allowing ourselves to feel it. We're not suppressing it. We're not putting it down and saying, no, I can't feel pain. She said I can't feel pain because if I feel pain, then I'm not in my power. No, you can feel pain. Just give it a different meaning. Let it be a growing pain. Let yourself know that this is your expansion, that you're about to grow. There's a gift in this pain, even if you can't see it right now. Because from there, if you have that as your default, you're going to handle things very differently. You're going to write a different story. So with that being said, just be aware. You cannot avoid pain in life. You can't. And you're not supposed to. Pain is here to help you grow just as much as beautiful things are. Just as much as pleasure is. But what you can learn is to turn it into a powerful teacher, to change the meaning around pain and let it become a teacher, a guide that really helps you step into your power, write your own story, and really receive the gifts, the learnings, the wisdom, the growth from painful experiences. And this way, your pain that you experience can help you rise more and more into who you're really meant to be, who you're really here to be, who you really are. Because it's just the other end of the spectrum. It's just an experience. And as souls, we're here to experience life. We're here to have experiences. And these experiences are meant to help us experience who we are, connect with ourselves deeper, understand ourselves deeper. In the reflection of our own experiences is where we meet ourselves. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give me a thumbs up. I would love to hear also what your thoughts are on the matter, what you gained from this video, or what came up for you. So leave me a comment below if there's anything that you want to share. And yeah, don't forget to click the subscribe button if you want to see and hear more videos like that. And I'll leave you with that. Thank you for being here. I love you. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.